How's it going, guys? Kevin here, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to use the full spectrum Muse rotary attachment. This is something that not a lot of lasers in this price point have, and I think it really helps the Muse stand out. And I'm also going to show you how to etch on stainless steel, which is something that not a lot of people realize that CO2 lasers can do when you have an additional material like Surmark that you spray on the stainless steel mug ahead of time. So this is a pretty awesome feature. I'm super excited to show you guys how it works. Also, if you're looking at buying a full spectrum Muse or any of the full spectrum lasers, you can see my referral code in the description below. With that, let's get started. So actually, one of the first things I'm going to do here is I'm going to go to the back of the machine. I'm going to turn that on. You're going to see this will turn on. We're going to get the lights here shortly. I don't actually need to turn the chiller or anything on, but what I'm going to do, just grab a little Allen wrench. I'm just going to feed that through the honeycomb and then pick up the honeycomb. I'm going to set you guys down here for a hot second. Once I have that, now you can see I can just pull the honeycomb out very carefully. So this just slides out like so. Then I have that out. I'm just going to set that down over there. And now you guys can see that we have full access to the bottom of the machine. You can see the laser head has plenty of clearance. I'm actually going to vacuum and clean up the floor because we're going to be setting the rotary on that. We want to make sure that the floor is nice and clean so that way the rotary is nice and level. And then once we get the rotary in here, you can see that attachment over there, and that attachment is actually where you're going to plug in the rotary. And then once we get this screen pulled up, I'll show you guys how to go into the menu, select the rotary option, and then we'll work from there. Alright, so now that we've opened RE3, you're going to go up here into the settings. You're going to click on this, jump over to our rotary, and you're just going to check this box and hit save. And it's as simple as that. We'll jump back to the laser now. Alright, so now that we're back over to the laser, the first thing that we're actually going to do is we're going to shut the laser off. Once we shut the laser off, now we can plug in our rotary attachment over here on the right. So there's a curved part. This connector only goes in one way, so don't force it. Just feel around. Once you do it a couple times, it becomes natural. So that's plugged in. The other thing I'm going to do is just slide this over. I like to have it just to the metals. The metal coming off the stepper motor is just right to the edge there. That seems to work for me. And then you can also move the head over to somewhere where you think is going to be lined up. It doesn't actually need to be perfect right now. And then you can turn the machine back on. And now, while we wait for the machine to boot up, essentially the next things that we're going to do is we're going to line up this part of the nozzle. You're going to see the red laser diode here come down, and we want to line that up right in the middle so that way our design is nice and lined up. So then the other thing, so you're going to take your cup here and you want to make sure that the wheels and everything are nice and lined up. So right now I have this guy loose so I can lift this up, so I'm just going to slide this guy underneath, get that exactly how I want it, so probably right around there. And then all I'm going to do is actually push down on this guy, and I'm going to tighten it while I'm pushing down. And what that's going to do is actually sort of grab the lip of that cup. You can sort of see it in there, and that way the cup does not slip, because the last thing you want to have happen is the cup to slip while it's on the roller. The other thing that you'll notice is the top of the cup is actually perfectly flat. Now, because I have a 2.5 inch nozzle, I have a little bit more tolerance where it's okay if it's not perfectly flat. It can handle about plus or minus 1/4 inch in height, and that will be just fine. So I'm just hitting OK on the screen here. But so this next thing that you're going to see, so we should have our laser diode. If I put my finger here, you can actually see it coming through. It might not be able to see it on the camera, but we'll be lining that up shortly. So now we're over here. What we actually want to do is we want to unlock the laser, and now we can move it around freely. And what you're going to want to do is actually just line that red dot right up with where you think you're supposed to be. So right in the middle. So that looks about good for me. And then when you relock it, this is essentially going to be your new home position. Alright, so one thing I forgot there is after you lock and unlock the head, it's good to do a power cycle. That way the laser just knows that that is the new home location. And then after that, now I can jog the laser head left to right. And then you notice when I go up and down that the cup's actually spinning. So I'm going to get this lined up exactly where I want. It's about midway up. That looks good. So now I'm going to go over to my desktop and we're going to drop the design in and run the perimeter and see how it looks. Alright, so we have our design here, and since we're in rotary mode, this is actually going to be flipped. 90 degrees, so I'm just going to rotate my design here. You can see I've got that in here. Right now it's looking like it's going to be 2.82 wide by 2.73. That seems a little wide. I'm just going to drop that down to 2.5. Because I have this locked here, it's going to keep that same ratio, which is what I want. The other thing here, so I know that I'm going to keep 100 power, and I'm going to go 30% speed, and that will give me the darkness that I want. We're also actually going to switch this to a halftone dither. I actually do want to bump up the intensity because it does look a little bit bump it down a little bit. So we're going to find it just in the right sweet spot here, probably around -15, if I had to guess. That looks just about right for me. And then we also want to bump this up to 500 by 500 DPI, and that's going to make that come out nice and crystal clear. So now that the design's all set up, we can go back over to the laser and get ready to get started. Alright, so we're back to the laser, and you guys might have noticed, but I actually missed one step here. So because this is stainless steel, we can't actually engrave directly on it. We need to spray a product on it to have a chemical reaction, essentially, to bond to that stainless steel. So I'm going to take this out, give it a quick spray with Surmark, and then I'll put it back in here and we'll be ready to go. Alright, so as you can see, I sprayed this with Surmark, so this is literally just one coat. It really doesn't take much. You don't really need to go heavy on it, and this will be more than enough. So I'm just going to let this dry for probably 2 or 3 minutes, just until it doesn't look as wet as it does right now, and then I'll put it in the machine and we'll be good to go. Alright, so one more quick comment about Surmark. Once you're done using it, you want to flip the can upside down and just give it a couple sprays just to clear out the nozzle. You don't want anything staying in here long term that can gunk it up and then cause this really expensive, I think I paid something like $70 for this can, to go bad and not be able to get any product out of it, and that would be really unfortunate. So just make sure you flip it upside down, give it a couple sprays until it looks clear. Should be only 2 or 3 sprays, and then you're good to go and store this to use again another time. So with that, let's get started here. So you can see I've got the cup back in here, so I'm going to tighten this down. And now what I like to do is just run the cup back and forth, so you can see how much that cup's moving. So that is not good. So I'm going to fix that here, just loosen this up. Try to reposition the cup so it's in a better spot here. Push down on it again. Really tighten that down. Now we're going to try that again. So now you can see it's staying exactly where I want it to. So this is perfect. So I'm going to move the head of the laser exactly where I want it, which we're just going to put this right in the middle. And then one other thing that you can tell is, so I have the puck here, and this is really, really far away, and this is because I was cutting some wood. So I'm actually going to grab my screw on the left here, which is, let me see, this guy right here, since I just have the Muse core. And then we're going to lower that down. You can actually see, my hand's blocking it right now, but you can see the red dot come into focus. So if I just set this in the area, I can tell I need to come down a little bit farther. The nice thing about this 2.5-inch nozzle is that it isn't that sensitive. So I'm just going to get it in the ballpark. So right about there, I can actually come down a little bit farther. And I'm actually watching the top of it, so I can see on the screws there how much this comes down. And that's right about where I want it. And I can see that the red dot looks nice and focused, so that's good. So now I'm just going to run my perimeter. So my design's a little bit larger than I expected, so I'm just going to stop the perimeter, move the nozzle over, no problems. I'm going to roll the cup just a little bit more. Now that you can see, that looks nice and perfect, so I'm going to stop the perimeter there. That's going to jump back to the start. There we go. And now I'm going to turn on my chiller because that was not on previously. Turn on my exhaust fan up here, so I just have these little blast gates. That way I don't have anything crawling in here, since this does lead to the outside. And then I have my Cloudline fan that you guys might have seen from my other video. So I've started that up. That'll get running. It's going to get a little loud in here. Going to close my lid. Now with the air compressor, I'm actually going to turn this down quite a bit. I don't need a lot of pressure. I just want to keep the crap out of it. So let's see. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. Alright, the air compressor is going to come on. But with that, we can get started, and I'll show you guys how it looks. done here, so I'm going to open this up. I'm just going to move the head of the laser out of the way, loosen this guy up so that way I can pull it out. And look at how cool that looks. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the sink, and you can literally just wash this off with normal water, and then I'll show you guys what the finished product looks like. Alright guys, so there you have it. This is the finished product. I think it looks pretty amazing. Now if this was for a customer or something, I probably would have spent a little bit more time to line that up perfectly in the middle of the cup. But I'm still really happy with how it came out. Everything is nice and attached. You can scrub this. Shouldn't put it through the dishwasher or anything, but you can scrub this, rough it. It's not going anywhere. It's nice and secure. And that was super fast to make and super easy to make. So if you guys watched all the way to the end, be sure to like the video, hit the subscribe button, and if you're interested in buying a full spectrum Muse laser or any of the other lasers, be sure to use my referral code to get $125 off. It helps me out and it helps you. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.